Hello, we are here today to do a little review of Folklore. Okay, so I've listened through it 4 times now, so I feel like I got my first impressions, and then as it's sunk in a little bit, so I've listened 4 times. I'm ready. I've ranked all of the 16 songs out of 10, so they all have a score out of 10. I didn't go any lower than 6.5 because I can't. Like I would feel so bad. Of course, I like it. It's very different. It's something to get used to. Um, Obviously, she has songs like this before. She's had very piano-based songs, very sad, melancholy songs like this before, but it just doesn't usually make up the whole album. It's 1 or 2 songs per album that are kind of like that. Um, so this was something to get used to, but there are a lot of great songs on here. And then there were a few that weren't my favorite, and that's totally fine. It's a surprise album, so I'm very happy regardless. Like, even if I gave it all like a 6 out of 10, which of course I didn't, but even so, it's so exciting to have new music, so let's jump in. Okay, so the first song, The One. My thoughts, I love the beginning of it. It's cool that she comes in like she's fine. It's a good, like, you think the whole album is going to be, kind of like down and depressing, but she's doing fine. So I love the beginning. I love the line, the greatest films of all time were never made, for a couple of different reasons. I love when she does any sort of reference to cinema because that is very like full of imagery for me. And I love that. Also, it's such a cool line just because it's like all about the potential that is there but hasn't, been explored. So I really liked that part. The greatest films of all time were never made. Sorry, I'm trying to plug my computer. Okay. Love that. The chorus is really pleasant and sweet. It's um, it's just nice. Like it was a good song to start the album off with. I think it's gets you in kind of like the mindset of it without like bringing you down too much. And I love the lyrics. I put great lyrics. She obviously is a great lyricist always. She tells amazing stories with her words and really gets you feeling exactly what's going on and what moment she's trying to depict. So that's great. I gave that song an 8 out of 10. I like that one. Cardigan. Now, the first time I heard this one, of course, was with the music video. I was watching the music video. So that made me like it a lot more because the music video is gorgeous, so cinematic, so pretty, so full of like wonder. So I loved that a lot. The song itself, I like that it has a moody vibe. Her voice is like low and deep throughout it. So it feels very moody and kind of gloomy, but still with like a hopeful tone. When you are young, they assume you know nothing. That was the lyric that I picked out from here. I liked that a lot because I think a lot of people feel that way. Like they're like, oh, you'll understand more when you grow up, but not necessarily. And then of course I love the Peter Pan reference. I'm a huge, huge fan of Peter Pan and all of the wonder that comes with that and the sense of like imagination. I said that really weird. And just like anything being possible. I love that. Um, I gave this song a 7 out of 10. Oh, so yeah, the Peter Pan, the reference to trying to change the ending, Peter losing Wendy. I specifically love that. But it's not my favorite song on the album. Gave it a 7 out of 10. The next one, The Last Great American Dynasty. This one I really like because I love the story behind it. I love when it's about someone else and like she's telling a story of something that she hasn't gone through, but that you can still picture in your head and can still get a good idea of what she is trying to describe and the feelings that she's trying to emote. So I really like that. She's so good at getting you to picture the scene, with her words. She's obviously a great lyricist, like I said. So the way that she uses language to put you in that place and feel that you're in that setting and it's all happening, around you. She does a great job with this song. I really was like, oh, I feel like I'm like in New England in the summertime. That's not something that I can relate to, but I feel like I can because of the way that she writes it out. Like being, it's kind of like sort of reminded me of The Great Gatsby because no, it definitely did because they're talking about old money versus new money and they see these people differently because they've just recently come into money and they're like, oh, they're not that special. But it was the lady that um, used to own the house that Taylor has in Rhode Island. And so I thought that was really cool to write about that. And she sort of comes in at the end, but most of the story is about this Rebecca character. And I loved her line delivery when she said, blew through the money on the boys in the ballet. It was like enunciated there, and I thought that was really nice. I love like a good delivery that makes you stop for a second and be like, oh, that's a funny way to say that, or, rather than just the whole thing being delivered the same way. And of course, the song is very dreamy, I wrote down. I love the vibe of that. It feels very like fantastical. Even though it is based on reality, it still kind of feels like you're escaping into somewhere else. And a lot of this album is like that, is like an escapism, I think, which is awesome. Obviously very needed right now. And I love the final part, you know, I had a marvelous time, a marvelous time. It's so sweet. And like, yes, people saw this girl as she was ruining everything, as it says in the song, but like she's having a good time and she's doing what she wants to do, and who cares if she's disrupting your scene or, you know, changing the way that things have been around this neighborhood or this town. So it's very cool. I gave that one an 8.5 out of 10. I really like that one. Even though actually, when I first listened to it, I of course liked it, but on my first listen, when I listened at midnight, it wasn't immediately one that I was like, that's going to be a favorite, but I really like it. So it's an 8.5 out of 10 for The Last Great American Dynasty. Next, we have Exile. This one is so sad. Oh, you can kind of predict that it's going to be so sad because it has Bon Iver, and he has that very, like, that voice full of despair. You know what I mean? Like, it's full of sadness, and he's really been through a lot. So you kind of knew that that was happening, but it is so sad. It wasn't my favorite at first when I first listened to it. I mean, it's still not my number one favorite from the album or anything, but it has definitely grown on me because it has a very pretty call and response, I'm going to call it. I loved that when, you know, he's singing. They're obviously talking about the end of this relationship, and they used to be in this land together, and now they're in exile. They're not together. They don't have the same place. They can't go to each other for help, for anything. They kind of can see it coming, but there's nothing to be done about it. Which is with the line, I think I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending. So I tried to catch every reference that she made to talking about a film because like I said, I love when she does that, when she references that it's like a movie, because listening to her music is like watching a movie for me a lot, because I feel like I'm in it and I have the setting and I have the imagery, and it really gets you in that state of mind and gets you in that feeling, much like how a movie does. So I really appreciate that she is making those references to film, because I think it's very intentional that she wants you to feel as if you are watching a movie and that you are seeing the lives of these characters that she's writing about. So I've seen this one before. I didn't like the ending. So they know what's coming and they're aware of, you know, what's going to happen, but there's not much that they can do about it. So they kind of just have to let everything fall apart. So the call and response that I was talking about, pardon me for keep looking at my notes. I have to. The call and response that I was talking about is when he says, you never gave a warning sign. And then sort of in the background, like you kind of can't hear it as well, but it is her responding to him. I gave so many signs. So they both have their own point of view of this, of, you know, you could have done something if you noticed, is what Taylor's saying. And then Bon Iver is saying, I didn't notice. You know, if I had, maybe I would have done something. So it's like it was inevitable that the relationship was going to fall apart because there wasn't that communication and there wasn't him seeing her point of view and her seeing his point of view. And I like that. I really like sad songs. Like I really like songs about things like falling apart, and things not going the way that you planned it, because things very rarely do go the way that you planned it. So that's obviously relatable. I gave that one a 7.5 out of 10. I like it. It's so sad. So I don't know if it's one that I could listen to in any sort of mindset. I think I might have to be in the right mindset for that one, but it's very pretty, and it's a 7.5 out of 10. Number 5, My Tears Ricochet. We know that track 5 is always a special one, always a very like raw, vulnerable, emotional one. And this one is no exception to that. She wrote this one all by herself, which is awesome. I mean, she's just great. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she's so creative and so good with words, and she's great. I love that this one is about a funeral. I think that's, I don't want to say always because I haven't heard every single song about a funeral, but I think that's usually a pretty interesting and full of depth topic for a song, because there's tons of emotions there and there's so many different people obviously coming and having their own response. So she already gets us in that mindset right from the beginning, talking about how, you know, we're in this room, we're mourning, we're weeping and we're sad. But of course, the song's not really about everybody's response towards the specific person, that they had a tumultuous relationship for sure. So it sets the mood right away, like I said. I love the beginning of the chorus. I didn't have it in myself to go with grace. that says a lot, I think, because you can picture that character or that person, whether it's a real person or someone that's made up. Like, I know that maybe it would be the bigger thing to do to leave you alone and to let you move on and everything like that. But I can't. I don't have it in me to be that bigger person. And that's very understandable, very relatable. I didn't want to have to haunt you is an important line to me because the song itself is very haunting. It really, the message sticks with you, the music sticks with you, the vocals stick with you. It is a very haunting song. So I think that line really um, enunciates that and makes it clear, like, it would be great if I didn't have to haunt you, if I didn't have to sit with you, this guilt and this doubt and the things that you've done. But you've done them, and now she's dead. The character is dead, so it's going to stay with that person. It's going to haunt that person. Something else that I love, love, love in this song is how it has kind of like the haunting background vocals where she talks about the stolen lullabies. That's towards the end. And that is kind of in the background. And it reminded me a lot of Daylight off of Lover, where during that chorus, she has the lines that are more in the foreground and then more in the background. And I love that. I love when she does that. You know what I'm talking about in the chorus. The line isn't coming to me exactly right now because I'm trying to get through this pretty quickly. But the line in the chorus with, she says something, I just listened the other day as well. But you know what I mean. The background vocals in Daylight during the chorus. And they don't happen the first time in the chorus, but then when the chorus happens again, they do. And she's like repeating something in the chorus. But I love that. I love the background vocals that are haunting and very beautiful, and you kind of can like sing along with both parts, and I love that. So I gave My Tears Ricochet an 8.5 out of 10. It is one of my favorites, not my number one favorite, but it's one of them. So 8.5 out of 10 for that one. Next is Mirror Ball. Not a favorite, and that is fine. Her voice is very pretty on this one. Right away, I liked her voice on this, even just the way she says, I'm a mirror ball. It's enunciated very nicely. It sounds very pretty, so I do like that. And I did like a lot of the lyrics to this one. Really, they were sad and visceral and relatable because, like, I can change everything about myself in order to fit in. It's quite sad, it's understandable. Like, you're being the person who you think that people want you to be. And she actually has a lot of songs about that, about trying to be that person that is more palatable for people, that people want to see and are you going to be able to deal with and aren't going to have problems with. But you can't be that person all the time. You can't be somebody that you're not just to please other people. So she does talk about that a lot. Another thing that I loved, I always think of her as so talented and so good and so creative and amazing, and it just comes, effortlessly to her. But this song kind of says the opposite. She's saying, I've never been a natural. All I do is try, try, try. So it's just hard work and trying so hard to be that person, that people see her as. And I'm not sure if this song is autobiographical or not, I don't know, but I think that probably it is, because I know that that's something that she's talked about before, where she wants to come across as that certain person, because obviously she's criticized a lot in the media, and just because she's in such a public eye, like, people are going to respond to everything that she says and does. So she's very aware of that, and I think that that comes across a lot in Mirror Ball, because she's saying, if you're seeing these things in me, it's because I'm reflecting it in you, which is so true. Is the things that you try to point out in other people a lot of the time are the flaws that you feel that you have yourself and that you're insecure about. And then one more line that I picked out of here. I picked a lot of lyrics out of this song that I like, so it's kind of surprising that I didn't give it a higher rating, but it's just not one that I could vibe with musically, I guess. Like, I couldn't really sing along to it. But like I said, the message is very understandable. So another line that I picked out, trying everything to keep you looking at me. That's something that is so relatable, because you want people to pay attention to you, and you want people, like, you're doing the things that you're doing for people to notice and for people to appreciate, and they're not even looking and they're not even paying attention, and that can be so frustrating. And that doesn't even, of course, that doesn't even have to be literal. It can be very metaphorical as well. Just like pretty much everything. You can take her songs at, face value, or you can go deeper in them and try to find like the analogy within it and what that could be representing. So Mirror Ball has some great lyrics, a pretty voice. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. So it was not my favorite, but I Actually, I think that's the lowest rating. There's one other song that I gave that on the album. That's the lowest rating that I would go because I'm never gonna give her song like um, a bad rating. So that was number 6. Here is number 7, which is called Seven. How about that? I like this one. This one grew on me. I mean, I never disliked it, but I relate it a lot now. It's very folksy, and they even reference that in the song. A lot of these songs are indie folksy, but this one's very folksy. Like it kind of reminds me of other artists. I'm not totally sure who. I want to say Florence and the Machine, which is what my friend Tor said the other day. But I think there's even other artists that it really reminds me of that I just can't recall, but more folksy artists, that aren't really known for pop like Taylor is. But she references that in the song, which I thought was so cool. She references that their love will be passed down like folk songs. So she references, hey, this song is kind of folksy for me. This is more of that kind of indie vibe, that indie sound. And she's like, oh, it'll like a folk song like this is. It's going to be passed down like a folk song. So that was really cool. This is another one that's sad. Pretty much all of these songs are sad, not to be depressing, but it's that kind of album. I love the story again here. So this girl's dad doesn't accept her. He, is angry, possibly violent, we don't know, but he doesn't make her feel safe. And so this girl comes and stays with her friend, who is the narrator of the song, whether that's Taylor or not. I want this song to be autobiographical. I really want it to be because I love the idea of her having this love with a young friend of hers, and they, have this love that the dad doesn't accept. I love the idea of that, but it's it could be a song about someone else, or because she talked in her Instagram post, she said like some of these songs are about people that she doesn't know, and some are about people that she's encountered and people that she wishes she hadn't encountered, and things like that. So we don't know, but I love the idea of that. There's these young girls and they're growing up together and they're falling in love and they don't feel safe. At least the one definitely doesn't feel safe because of her dad. And so the narrator of this song is like, come stay at my house. We won't have to hide. Everything will be okay. This one's very nostalgic to me. Again, it's not something that I can like personally relate to, but I can relate to the feeling of it. Do you know what I mean? Like back when you're a kid and things are just different. And it reminded me actually of Bridge to Terabithia, which I love that movie so much. It's so sad, but it's so full of fantasy and so full of hope and optimism, even though it's dreadfully sad and it's heartbreaking. But it's these kids having this connection, just like the girls in this song do. So it really reminded me a lot of Bridge to Terabithia, as did the Cardigan music video. Another line that I adored from this song: before I learned civility, I used to scream ferociously. And like I said, that makes me very nostalgic because it takes you back to childhood of like before you knew things and you didn't understand everything and you just did what you wanted and you just had fun and you just ignored anything that you didn't like or didn't make you happy, and there wasn't really a responsibility there. It was just you were yourself and you didn't have to be anything else when you were a kid. So I like that one a lot, and it is an 8.5 out of 10 for the song 7. August. Ooh, this one's one of my favorites. Right away, this one was one of my favorites. Love, love, love. I gave it, oh no, I don't tell you that yet. I don't tell you what I gave it yet. I love the rhythm of the chorus because it gets a little bit more upbeat, probably about as upbeat as this album gets, in terms of the rhythm when it goes into the chorus. You Were Never Mine is obviously one of the most important lines of this song. It really encapsulates what's going on in the song. This guy was not hers. It was, the narrator of this song is very much the other woman. And that is something that I think the feelings of that come very naturally. Like you automatically know the sorts of feelings that she is going through, even just by knowing only a little bit of the story, right? Because it's like she loves this person, but it was never going to last. It was never going to work out because he is with someone else. And, she's just this summer relationship, which is why it's called August. And it's based on the fleetingness of August, where she uses the really wonderful figurative language, sipping. August was sipped away like a bottle of wine, and August slipped away like a moment in time. I love the use of simile and figurative language there because you feel it so well. Like, her words are just so she's just so good at telling a story. And I know I'm fangirling, but I don't care. Her vocals are beautiful, especially when it's "You Weren't Mine to Lose," and she like, really takes mine and draws that out. "You weren't mine to lose." That's lovely, beautiful, beautiful vocals. Another line, "Canceled my plans just in case you'd call." Like I totally understand. Like with those words, you totally understand the feeling that she's trying to convey. This girl is willing to cancel plans just in the slightest hope, the slightest chance maybe this guy will call her, and then she'll be there. She doesn't want to miss out. She's like, what if I go out and he calls and I miss it? That would be terrible because this guy isn't, a good guy. He's not gonna be there for her all the time. He has someone else, and she can't like count on him. Obviously, we don't know the whole circumstances, but it's sad. It's not something that is going to have staying power, and she just wants to hold on to August. Very pretty, great use of language, and just something that is again very visceral because you know exactly what this girl is feeling as she's trying to hold on to this while also feeling kind of shame and kind of guilt because this man isn't hers, but she wants him to be. That one's a 9 out of 10. We really like August. Really like August. Okay, I was trying to go fast, but somehow I'm already 21 minutes into this. Okay, number 9. This is me trying. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I love the layered vocals in this song. Very nice. I love the kind of simplicity of the message here. Like, it really very much is like, I'm trying to get this to work. Things didn't work out, and I would come back, and I'm trying to apologize, and I'm trying to make it work. Let's see what happens. I have a lot of regrets about that. I love the way she delivers that line. I love, again, the simplicity of that line, but also getting across the message very much of what's going on. Great use of figurative language. Again, here it comes. I got wasted like all my potential. Oh, that's so good. We know exactly what she means. And it's a way of using words that I think a lot of us would never have come up with. I just don't have a way with words like that. It's just so pretty. And again, simple message. At least I'm trying. She is doing what she can. I like the song. It's pretty. It's an 8.5. Also, let's count how many times I use the word pretty in this because I describe everything as pretty. Pretty vocals, pretty instruments, pretty song, pretty message, blah, blah, blah. So 8.5 out of 10 for This Is Me Trying. Here comes number 10, Illicit Affairs. This is one of my highest ratings as well. I wrote a lot about this one. I wrote this whole page here. So I wrote a lot about that one, so you can tell I like it. It'll be sad just by the title, Illicit Affairs, something that's not good or right or accepted or anything like that. A great line from this. What started in beautiful rooms ends in parking lots. And I think I might have messed that line up a little bit. I think I might have missed some words. I was trying to write like quickly as I was listening. But yeah, it has a great, beautiful start. And that's what this song really is. It's about there's this wonderful, beautiful start to something, but then it falling apart is like breaking your heart several times. It's not, even though it had one beginning, it doesn't have one ending. It's every little clue that it's going to end is one little heartbreak, one more way it's slipping away. And that's actually the next line I have down here. Dies a million little times. It keeps happening. There keeps being something that you have to let go of or something that you're losing, even though it started off so nicely. It keeps hurting, like it's not just one clean break. It keeps hurting every new development of, oh, this isn't going to last, or we can't be doing this anymore. And there's a lot of great lines in this song that talk about that. I can't even remember what the one is. I didn't write one of them down. But it was something about like a drug that only works the first few hundred times. So like this thing it's never gonna be a forever thing. It's just for now. So I guess it's a lot like August in that way. Wonderful lyrics. I adore the bridge. That's the part where she says, look at this godforsaken mess that you made me. Look at this idiotic fool that you made me. It's her reflecting on herself and blaming herself here, even though she does hold some accountability to the guy, of course, but it's like, look at what I am now because of what we did. And another sad one. So those are my two big words for the album, pretty and sad. It's so visceral. Again, I wrote that down. Ooh, so some of the lines that really, I think, pack a punch. You taught me a secret language I can't speak with anyone else, and you showed me colors I can't see with anyone else. Because she'll never feel this way again. And no one will make her feel this way or see these things or hear these things or live this way again. And that's obviously heartbreaking. That's really sad because this is something that she's losing again and again and again, it feels like, because all of the new things that he's introduced her to and all of the new ways that she's felt, that's all going away now. It's not just the end of a relationship, it's the end of, a lot of parts of who she is as a person and things that she has and things that she feels. So it's heartbreaking. I gave that one a 9 out of 10. Love the use of language there. 9 out of 10 for illicit affairs. Oh, this video is so long. I'm so sorry. Number 11 is invisible string. I love the string instruments on this. Love the string instruments. Very pretty. It is not my favorite lyrically. Please don't be mad. Not my favorite lyrically. But I can still picture the scene very well. I, still absolutely see her sitting in Centennial Park with a book. I still see them meeting each other with his teal shirt, right? I like the line, isn't it just so pretty to think? Because wouldn't it be nice to think that something is meant to be, that, that it's all in the stars, and it's supposed to happen like this. So not a bad song. It's not a favorite. That's okay. I gave it a 7 out of 10, Invisible String. We are now on number 12. This one is a Mad Woman. I love the fierceness in this one. I love the anger. Of course, that's always going to be fun. She has a few angry songs. Obviously, most notably is the album Reputation is kind of full of those. And I love that. It has a dark mood. I enjoy that. I do wish that it was more of like a dancey one. Like, I don't want to say upbeat because it is not an upbeat message, but just kind of a faster tempo song, because that's what it was on Reputation with the dark moods. And this one reminded me a lot of that, and especially of I Did Something Bad, because obviously this mad woman has done something that the society doesn't accept, and they want to paint her as crazy. It reminds me of the Salem witch trials, which were, obviously a very tragic time, but it's something that I'm very, very interested in historically, and so I kind of like anything that's about that. So I do like this song for those reasons. A lyric that I picked out from this one is, you poke the bear till the claws come out. So it is the people of this town that are bringing this out. You made her this way. You made her a mad woman because you kept pushing her and saying things about her that led to it. You made her into this crazy, vengeful person. So I like that. For this one I wrote, she should write a book, which I mean, I know that she has, when she was younger, I know that she wrote a book, just like for fun during a summer. But she should really write a book because she's so good at telling stories within these 4-minute chunks. Imagine a book. And so many of her songs do remind me of literary works. And I know that she does that on purpose. Obviously, Love Story is Romeo and Juliet, and this one reminds me of The Crucible. But there's a ton more out there that, Scarlet Letter, as well with New Romantics. I love her storytelling. I just think it's wonderful. So I would read like a 700-page book by her. Like, she could write the next great American novel or whatever. 7.5 out of 10 for Mad Woman. Number 13, Epiphany. This is my favorite one. This is my favorite, Epiphany. So gorgeous. I loved it. It was one of my favorites right away. The vocals are beautiful. They're gorgeous, gorgeous vocals. I love the storyline. I get really excited anytime something's about something different. Like, it's not a romance, it's not love. Because so many songs just in general are about love. And yes, there's still new things to say about it, and there's still, a lot of poetic worth there. But I just love when songs are about something else, personally. So I love that it was incredibly, incredibly sad. What a great storyline about war and about dying and about being in the hospital. Actually, what I wrote down, this song reminds me of My Chemical Romance. Obviously, it is not like the punk and the rock of that, but they have songs like this. The Light Behind Your Eyes is one for sure, and a lot of the Black Parade album is about dying. Of course, that's what is happening to the character in that album, the patient. And so this one being set in a hospital reminds me a lot of that, and also of The Ghost of You, which is off their other album. revenge, but a lot of the Black Parade, because it is about a patient in a hospital dying. It does have to do with that. And so this song gave me that vibe, even though obviously musically it's pretty different. I love her voice lifts when she says rifle, here's your rifle, and someone's daughter, someone's mother. I love the way that that is delivered, and I'm sure a lot of people do. That's excellent. So of course I was going to love this song already because it has gorgeous vocals, great storyline. Reminds me of My Chemical Romance, one of my favorite bands. It's so dark. Some lines that I picked. Sir, I think he's bleeding out, and Doc, I think she's crashing out, because those were both used as dialogue in the song. It's someone in the song actually saying those things, and I love the use of dialogue in a song because again, it's storytelling, and that's what I love about music. And you can see those people in your head as you're listening to it and their panic and what they're going through. Of course, the chorus is wonderful. Well, I'm not sure if it's actually considered the chorus or the pre-chorus, where it's with you I serve, with you I delivered that terribly. With you I serve, with you I fall down. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. This is another haunting song, of course. It's just, you know, whatever it is that they do, they're going to do it together. They're going to serve in this war together. And then when it's time to die, they're going to die together. And again, this can be taken metaphorically as well. It doesn't have to be literally in a war. It can be, you know, we're going through this time and we're going to do that together, and I'm going to be here for you the whole time. And when you're low, I'm low, you know, that kind of thing. And then one of the most, I think, tragic lines is to make some sense of what you see. They can't make any sense of what's happening. Why is this happening? Why are people allowing this to happen? How can this be? And I think that's kind of representative of our world today. You know, there's so many terrible things happening in the world that why is our government allowing them to happen? You know, whether that be the pandemic, or whether that be systemic racism, or whether that be, you know, any sort of any sort of discrimination in healthcare, housing, things like that. People who are homeless, people who have nothing, and then there's this great wealth gap. And I'm sure that's not, you know, exactly what the song is about, but that's what's so cool about her songwriting and about a lot of songs, is that you can read into your own thing and it can remind you of something that, you know, maybe it wasn't the songwriter's intention, but you can still see it in there because of the open-endedness of it all, you know, trying to make some sense of what you see, whether that's a war in front of you or just a country failing its citizens, you know, or anything, whatever it may be. The song is about loss. It's very sad and it's very pretty, and it gets a 9.5 out of 10. I adore it. Next up, we have Betty. This is song number 14. I love the harmonica. Of course, I was so excited for the harmonica. Her high school songs, this one's obviously about a high school relationship. They always make me so nostalgic, whether it's for her first album or for my own high school experience, because that's when I started listening to her, when I was in high school. I mean, I had heard a couple of her songs before them, but for real started listening to her when I was in high school. And my high school experience is nothing like the songs really that she writes, but it still makes me feel so nostalgic for it. I don't know why I said it's nothing like it. That's not true. That's not true. A lot of my high school is like what she's writing about, but not in the terms of this song, Betty. Definitely not. But it is very nostalgic feeling. And this one feels a little bit of country, which I'm not actually a country fan, other than like, you know, country ballads and like Dolly Parton and Taylor's early stuff as well, but not, you know, modern country music. But I love this. The worst thing I ever did was what I did to you. That packs a punch. It sure does. That, I mean, the narrator of the song feels very bad, very guilty, obviously. The language in this song, ooh, she says some bad words, there's some swearing. And I think that's kind of a dichotomy there, because it is a more nostalgic high school song, and so it does kind of remind you of her older albums, but she didn't really, you know, talk like that or use that language on her older albums, excuse me. So it's kind of like a juxtaposition there, I think. Is this the most upbeat musically? I wrote, sorry, not lyrically, musically, because it does have, you know, the harmonica, the banjo, the more although a harmonica is not an upbeat, it's usually more like a blues, but this song does feel upbeat musically, I think. So it's one of the, it might be the most upbeat on the album in terms of the music and like, you know, the grooving of it, but it's sad. Oh, another line that I really liked. The last time I can dream about what happens when you see my face again. It's when the narrator is coming to the porch, coming to the party, wanting to see Betty. And this is the last time that they can picture what it's going to be like, because soon they're going to know. And that's something that I think about a lot. Like whenever I'm anticipating something and being anxious about something, I'll think about it, at the night, whether it be, something that's happening to me in real life or something I'm excited to see on TV or anything like that. I'll be thinking about what it's going to be like. And then I'm like, well, this is the last time I can wonder, because soon I'm going to know. I'm going to know for sure. And that line reminds me of that, because now they're going to know. I like that song. I gave it, this is Betty, I gave it an 8.75 out of 10. I really went with the decimals there. We have 2 more songs left. Peace and Hoax. They're not my favorite. I wish that they weren't the end to the album, because they're not my favorite, but that's okay. Peace. I like the line, coming of age has come and gone, because coming of age movies and books and things like that are some of my favorites, and a lot of people love those, understandably. It's great to see someone come of age and learn things, and usually get to a happier place at the end of that than what they've been going through. So I do like what this song's about. Like, they're never going to be able to be peaceful, these 2 people in this relationship. They're never going to be able to be left alone and be peaceful. People aren't going to give them, their privacy. So I do like what it's about, but I can't really sing to it. There's not much of a, I don't even know what it's called. Is it a melody? Or like, you can't really sing along to it. It's just kind of like words. And also this one, I felt like it didn't fit with the album very well, because it is autobiographical. You can tell about, because it talks about, her being recognized as an American singer. So it is about her and her relationship. And so much of the album isn't. So I just didn't think this one fit that well. And I'm just not a huge fan of this one. But I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. I don't hate it. It's just one of my least favorites on the album. So 6.5, that and Mirror Ball. But I would say I like Mirror Ball more than this one. I'm just not a huge fan of Peace, and I do apologize for that. I got a 6.5 out of 10. We got one more, and I'm so sorry about how long this video is. I'm really trying to be succinct and concise, but it's not my forte. Hoax, number 16. It's not my favorite. I wrote down. It's about a very toxic relationship, but I think that's something that's important to write about. I think that's there's a lot of good songs about that, and that is something that can bring a lot of emotion and can make a really good song. This one just wasn't my absolute. She keeps believing, but she shouldn't in this song. It's like this relationship is her one vice that she won't give up on. Everything else that she knows that's bad for her, she eventually lets go of, and eventually, walks away from. But she can't let go of this vice, this relationship, this faithless love, meaning this love that isn't good for her, this love that he doesn't give enough of, is the one hoax that she believes in. So speaking of the faithless love, there are some religious connotations in this song, which I thought was interesting. The faithless love, she talks about barren land and kingdom come undone. Those are all sort of biblical references, which is like false god on lover, which is also not my favorite. So I don't know if there's a connection there between why those aren't my favorite, but I think it's just like musically they're not my favorite. False god and hoax. But hoax is not my least favorite on this album, as you'll see when I give my rating. I do really like the line, no other sadness in the world would do, which is the one that's sad, is the one that ends the album. It's a very sad line, of course, no other sadness in the world would do. And like I said, nothing else is going to make her feel this way. Any other vice she can give up, any other thing that is negative and bad for her she can give up, but not this one, because no other sadness in the world gives her this, I don't want to say content, because I don't think she is content, but it's like a comfortability of being sad, if that makes sense. Like, it's okay that she's not okay. There's another film reference in this one. The hero died, so what's the movie for? I would love to read about, why she chose to reference films in these specific songs and compare them to a film. But it's like, yeah, why keep watching this movie, or why keep being in this relationship when you know it's not going to have the ending that you want it to have? And that kind of goes back to Exile. So a lot of parallelism here, where that relationship is ending and it can be hard, and this one should end, but it's too hard to do that. So it's a very sad ending to the album, accepting that, no other sadness is going to be something that she accepts, but she'll accept this sadness. So I guess maybe it's not that sad of an ending, because she's accepting the sadness and maybe making peace with it, but I don't know, it felt quite sad to me. I gave Hoax a 7 out of 10. So a lot of good themes in this album, a lot of wonderful, wonderful imagery and lyricism. I I like it. It's obviously something to get used to. It's not like a lot of her other stuff. Like I said, it is like some of her other songs, but not as a whole album. I'm very excited that we got the album, even though I can be a bit bummed that, I'm not going to sing and dance along to it as much as like, Lover, which I adore so much. As an overall, what would I give this album? Well, I guess I should average it out. I should do the math. So actually give me 1 second. I'm going to do that. I don't know how to pause it. Okay, so this is what the album gets. It's a roughly 7.95. I'm just gonna call it an 8. I'm gonna call the album an 8 out of 10. Ah, that sounds kind of low for me because I just adore Taylor Swift so much. I love her music so, so much. But I guess I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 according to my math. So, yay, parallelism and imagery and writing an album in isolation. She's so creative and she's so cool, and I could never do anything like that. I just barely have done anything, during quarantine. I read a few books. I'm learning Spanish on Duolingo. But whatever, it's not about that. It's about the album. It's an 8 out of 10. It's good. What did you think of Folklore? I'm so sorry this video is so long. I bet you 4 people watch it, but that's okay. I can look back on it later and be like, what were my favorite songs? So I hope you enjoyed the album. Let me know. Bye.